Assalamualaikum and a very good day. My name is Fahimah BINTI SHUKRI BALA SUDARAN and my matric number is 065529. Religious freedom is a basic human right that includes liberty to practice, express and alter one's religious belief without fear of persecution or discrimination. However, in Malaysia, a multicultural nation in Southeast Asia, the concept of religious freedom is subject to certain restrictions. While Malaysia officially recognizes Islam as the country's religion, it also guarantees its citizens the freedom of religion. Despite that, these constitutional provisions are frequently challenged by a variety of factors, resulting in limitation on the complete exercise of religious freedom. This video will show some of the overview on religious practice restriction in Malaysia, limitation on freedom of religion under the Malaysia Constitution, and challenges of religious freedom and the case studies in Malaysia.
My name is AMANINA binti SUHAIMI with my matric number 065741. So today, I would like to presenting about the overview on religious practice restriction in Malaysia. Malaysia is most ethnically diverse country in Southeast Asia, with Malay, Indians, and Chinese among its population who identify as Malaysia. Muslim, Buddhist, Christian, Hindu, and Sikhs are some examples among the many religious groups in Malaysia. The percentage analysis of Malaysian by religion according to the 2023 census will figures the following religions are Islam was the highest and followed by Buddhism. Other religions were Christianity, Hinduism, Confucianism, Taoism, and other traditional Chinese religions. However, in Malaysia, there will be some issues that arise due to limited or restriction on religious belief, which are intolerant issues. The different understanding is based on each person, perception, and in turn comprehending the different levels of religious tolerance that exist. For example, most people claim that religious tolerance can only be practiced in program and any charitable acts related to natural disaster, visiting the sick, and the last one is donating donation. However, if it pertains to either the rights of religious individuals, inside organizations, or the rights of place of worship, such as cooperating to claim places like mosque, churches, and temple, as it focuses completely on the religion without interfering with other beliefs.
AZZALEA binti KHAMIS, matric number 068059. I would like to discuss the topic of religious freedom in Malaysia. Malaysia is a diverse country with a rich tapestry of religion, and it's important to understand the legal framework and its impact on religious practice. Let's delve into this subject together. The religious matters in Malaysia are regulated by a combination of federal and state law. The country legal framework places emphasis on Islam as the state religion. The federal constitution provides the foundation for religious rights, with Article 11 guaranteeing the right to embrace and practice a religion. However, these rights are subject to limitation for the purpose of public order, immorality, and the protection of the right of others. Each state in Malaysia has its own Islamic Religious Administration Act, which governs matters pertaining to Islam. This law addresses various aspects, including marriage, divorce, inheritance, Islamic conversion, and the establishment and management of Islamic institutions. The Sharia court has jurisdiction over this issue, handling matters related to the practice of Islam and the personal law of Muslims. Despite Islam being the state religion, Malaysia recognizes and permits the practice of other religions. Non-Muslim religious matters such as the establishment and administration of places of worship are primarily governed by legislation at the state level. This recognition is an important aspect of promoting religious diversity and pluralism in the country. However, despite Malaysia's proclamation of religious liberty, there are challenges and limitations that impact religious freedom. Restrictions are the use of certain Arabic words or phrases associated with Islam, such as Allah, can limit the religious expression of non-Muslim and hinder interfaith dialogue and understanding. Social pressure and community response can also have an impact on individuals who choose to live Islam or practice another religion. The interpretation and application of religious law at the federal and state level can vary, leading to inconsistency in the exercise of religious freedom. This can result in different degrees of religious freedom across Malaysia's states. The impact of this challenge and limitation on religious freedom is significant. The process of religious conversation, restriction on religious terms, disparities in service, and potential social pressure can impede the ability of individuals to freely practice their religion. It is important to address this issue. In short, while Malaysia guarantees religious freedom, certain restrictions and challenges exist that influence their exercise. Effort toward promoting greater religious tolerance, inclusivity, and consistency in the interpretation and application of religious law are crucial. By fostering a more equitable environment, we can ensure that every individual has the freedom to practice their chosen faith without hindrance.
My name is HIDAYULAILI binti SULAIMAN. The metric number is 066881. I'm going to explain regarding the limitation on freedom of religion under the Malaysian Constitution. The Constitution has several restrictions on religious liberty or freedom, including permissible restraint, religion propagation to Muslim, religion of minor, and non-mandatory practices, as well as many more. The first limitation is permissible restraint. Article 11 Clause 1 of the Constitution, which guarantees religious freedom, cannot be read alone. This article must be viewed in conjunction with Article 3 Clause 1, which specifies that religious practices must not disrupt peace and harmony. In other words, religious freedom is permitted as long as it does not disrupt peace and harmony in any region of the Federation. Another permissible constraint is provided by Article 11 Clause 5, which specifies that provision does not enable any act that will be contrary to general law relating to public order, public health, or morality. As a result, if a speech, behavior, practice, or institution is based on religious belief and threatens any of the three prohibited grounds outlined above, it can be extinguished by legislative law. The second limitation is propagation of religion to Muslims. It has been contended that a person's right to spread religion among Muslims under Article 11 Clause 4 can be limited by federal and federal territory or state law. It is vital to highlight that propagation regulations are intended to protect Muslims from being exposed to heretical religious belief, whether of Islamic or non-Islamic origin, and whether the propagators are Muslim or non-Muslim. In terms of religious propagation to Muslims, any preaching of religious doctrine to Muslims, whether by non-Muslim or unauthorized Muslim, can be regulated by state legislation. This is due to the fact that state law made it illegal to convert Muslims. The third limitation is religion of minors. Although Article 11 Clause 1 refers to a person as having religious freedom in the context of professing and practicing a religion, and it is subject to Clause 4, when it comes to propagation, it is critical to read this provision in conjunction with Article 12 Clause 4, when the person in question is under the age of 18. Thus, in the Theo and Huat case, the court concluded that in terms of religions, a kid under the age of 18 must submit to the wishes of his or her parents. Based on this rationale, the court concluded that converting a 7-year-old Buddhist girl to Islam without her parents' agreement had no legal consequences. The fourth limitation is non-mandatory practices. The point of contention here is whether religious freedom extends to all areas of religious practice. This is because, in terms of religion, everyone has free right, which are to profess, to practice, and subject to Clause 4, to promote his religion. The definition of practice is to put into practice, to perform, to carry out, to do habitually. Although this is how the term practice is commonly interpreted, it is crucial to highlight that in Malaysia, courts have ruled that religious freedom extends only to those practices and rights that are vital and mandatory. The issue in the case of Hajah Halimatul Sa'diyah binti Haji KAMARUDDIN and Public Service Commission was whether a female Muslim public servant might wear kurdah turban. The Supreme Court ruled that the government had the right, in the interest of the public service, to prohibit religious practices that were non-essential and voluntary in the workplace.
I'm IZZATI ARDINI binti Mazuki, metric number 067555. In this section, I will talk about challenges of religious freedom and the case study in Malaysia. Article 11 of the Federal Constitution guarantees religious freedom. Although all non-Muslims have the right to freedom, they are subject to certain restrictions and rules. One of these restrictions is related to Islamic Sharia law.
So some Islamic Sharia law can restrict the freedom of non-Muslim communities. For example, Sharia law has regulated the sale of alcohol in Terengganu and Kelantan. As a result, the non-Muslim community has a limited ability to purchase such beverages. Next, the construction of places of worship is restricted. Non-Muslims may have difficulty obtaining a permit to build a new house of worship. Although the Article 11 Clause 3 of the Constitution allow religious groups to establish their own religious institution. Other than that, religious sensitivity and blasphemy. Malaysia has a law that made it illegal to say or to do things that are considered offensive to a religion. This law can be used to restrict free speech and in some cases have a significant impact on the country's non-Muslim communities. The controversy over the use of the word Allah by non-Muslims is the subject of a case study relating to the limitation of the right of non-Muslim communities in Malaysia. For example, the Catholic Church Herald used the word Allah in its Malay translation. The Malaysian government ordered the Herald to stop using the term Allah in 2007 because it could cause confusion and disrupt public order. The Herald insisted on the using the term, claiming that the ban violated their constitution or right to freedom of religion. Overall, the case has sparked debate in Malaysia about religious freedom.
My name is Fahimah from NASRI and my number is 066814. Now, I'm going to continue sharing the second point of the challenges to religious freedom and the case study in Malaysia. My point is restriction on conversion from Islam to another religion. In the context of Malaysia, fundamental rights are constitutionally protected as stated in the Federal Constitution of Malaysia. In the matter of religion, in accordance with Article 11 Clause 1, individuals have the right to practice and profess their religion freely. They are allowed to spread their belief with the exception of the Clause 4. Clause 4 grants authority to state and federal laws in the federal territories to regulate and limit the dissemination of religious teachings and convictions among individuals who practice the Islamic faith. Regardless, Muslims must follow distinct procedures based on their law when exercising this right. However, the article most of the time has been misinterpreted by many as a restriction against religious freedom. If we look from the context of Islamic view, individuals that want to change his or her religion are considered as murtad. Thus, it is not possible for Muslims to just change their faith as it contradicts the law of Islam. However, from the human rights point of view, the law deprives a person of his or her fundamental liberties and violates Article 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The article highlighted that everyone has the right to exercise freedom of thought concerning a religion, which also includes the liberty of individuals to convert to another religion. The case that can be used as an example is the case of Lina Joy against Majlis Agama Islam Wilayah Kesetuan, which is a case of conversion from Islam to Christianity. The gist of the case was Lina Joy applied to change her religious status on her identification card at the civil court. Despite being born a Muslim, she claimed that she had converted to Christianity in 1990. Later in the year 2000, Lina Joy filed a summons against Majlis Agama Islam Wilayah Persekutuan. She sought for declaration under Clause 1 of Article 11 of the Federal Constitution, which allows individuals to practice and profess their religion freely. However, the High Court asserts that the Sharia Court has the power to determine the plaintiff's religious affiliation. And even if Article 11 Clause 1 of the Constitution guarantees everyone the right to practice and profess their religion freely, and the right to choose one's religion and belief, but given that she was a Malay and born a Muslim, because Malay is defined in Article 160, she will remain a Muslim and cannot renounce Islam as asserted by the judge. Still, it also stipulates that any act of conversion away from Islam must be subject to the applicable Sharia laws and decided by the Sharia courts. Therefore, it is reasonable to argue that switching to another religion, mainly when the individual is Muslim, will likely be a challenge in Malaysia because it disregards the international human rights law of religious freedom.
My name is Najwa. As for the conclusion, the limits of religious freedom in Malaysia continues to be a complicated and sensitive subject. It is significant to remember that Islam is the official religion of Malaysia, which is also a multi-ethnic and multi-religious nation. Islam is given several privileges and protections under the Malaysian Constitution, which also guarantees religious freedom for all residents. The restrictions on religious freedom are frequently seen from the perspective of upholding societal cohesion and safeguarding Islam's unique role in the nation. This viewpoint emphasizes the necessity of creating a balance between people's freedom to practice their belief and the preservation of peace and stability among nations' various religious communities.